Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Here's the track, and it's all changed for 2023 with 4 corners removed between turns 16 and 19. It means the lap length is now just over 3 miles. That might come as a welcome relief to the drivers, or especially their brakes. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Lance Stroll yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Perez, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Albon, Gasly, Ocon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Joe, and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And what would any Grand Prix weekend be without the one and only Natalie Pinkham? So let's start with Lance Stroll.
What a quality performance. The big question, though, is how does that translate on race day? Can they hold on to that lead? So we're in for an exciting start, I'm sure, and then they'll all settle down a bit, try and find a rhythm as they plan the next phase of the Grand Prix. It's important to know when to push and when to hold back so as not to overcook those tyres early on.
Keep on him, he might make a mistake. DRS now available. car in front is 2.7 seconds. Race over, take care of the car on the way in.
It's never easy to make it across the finish line here in Singapore, but they've done so with some style here today to take a remarkable victory. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Quite simply, a driver is nothing without the team behind them. So, a deserved winner, but we do have to give a shout out to the team in the pit lane and back at the factory. Very much a collaborative process.
Well, Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.